Hey there, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Violet Vixen. Tonight I am preparing something that is going to be tomorrow night's dinner, but when you find out what I'm doing, you'll understand why it's not tonight's dinner. So, it is called salmon loaf. It's pretty easy. It's made up of rice with a whole pile of other stuff in the fridge for 2 hours, which is why it's not tonight's dinner, because there's a little bit of preparation, but not much. The hardest thing to cook is the rice, actually. So it's not that bad. And we are going to get yourself a loaf tin. We're going to line that with paper, and then that goes in the fridge for 2 hours before we're ready to serve it. So that's why I say that is tomorrow night's dinner, but I'm doing it tonight. All right, so here's what we need. It's going to serve 4, and it will be good with salad, or you can have it with veggies. I'd recommend salad because it's a cold dish, but if you want hot veggies with it, go for it. So come on in and I'll show you the ingredients, which I have not really gotten ready yet, but it shouldn't take that long. All right, so first up we have got 6 6.25 cups of water. Sorry, I'm just looking at it going, that's a lot of water. No, it's not. It's 1.5 litres of water. That is at the back there. Pinch of salt. 1/2 cup of long grain rice. Hopefully that will use up what didn't fit in here. 225 gram canned salmon, drained. I could not find 225 gram can, so 415 grams. I'm going to use maybe half of that, and then I've got the rest for sandwiches, which is good. 1 red capsicum. We're going to de-seed and chop that one. It's a nice looking one. 10 pitted green olives. I don't think there's enough in there, so I grabbed another jar. 4 hard-boiled eggs chopped. They're not hard-boiled yet, but we'll get those on shortly. 1/4 cup of mayonnaise. This is a good one for using up jars of mayonnaise. I'll be lucky if I get much out of that, but there's still mayo in there. Plus that one. 1 teaspoon of tomato paste. This was down the bottom of the freezer. It's probably more than 1 teaspoon, but it's not going to matter that much, so I'm just going to use that up. That was 2 tablespoons, so that's near enough is good enough. Juice of 1/2 lemon. The other 1/2 lemon I'll squeeze for hot water. 50 grams of butter softened. A small lettuce washed and dried. I haven't got the small lettuce which I've washed and dried, but I'll explain that when it comes time to dishing it up. And a small pinch of parsley. That's just for when we serve it up. So, apart from that, you're also going to need a saucepan that you can do the rice in. Make it a fairly big one because we are going to end up putting everything in it. That way we're not dirtying a bowl. We're going to use the same one. And you want a saucepan that you could put 4 eggs in. I do have an egg cooker where I can do them perfectly, but I'm going to do them this way so that I can show you how to make a boiled egg as well. Alright, so let's get going to the stove. Okay, so first up, to make the hard-boiled eggs, all you want is water just almost covering them. Pop that onto a hot plate, and you want it on high. As soon as it comes to the boil, for hard boiled, you want about 5 minutes. We don't want these too soft because they're going to be chopped up inside the rice dish. The back saucepan, we want that water that I told you I'd measured earlier, and we're going to bring it to the boil. Once it's boiling, then we'll start and add the rice and the salt. So crank that one up to 6. And we'll be back shortly when it's time to put the rice in there. Okay, so they've had their 5 minutes. I'm going to turn that one off. I turned down the wrong one, so that wasn't very smart. So that's delayed the water boiling. But those are ready to rinse straight out with cold water and then allow them to cool, and then we can peel them. Okay, so now that we're coming to the boil, I'm going to pop in a splash of salt. And then that 1/2 cup of long grain white rice. I'm just in the middle of, I've chopped up the capsicum. I've measured out the 10 pitted green olives. I've got 5 different olives to go on top as well. Drained the salmon, flaked it, taken the backbone out of the middle, and currently measuring up 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, and going to get ready to make that dressing. So now that we're boiling, in goes this. We want this to boil for 20 minutes, so pop your timer on and we'll be back. Okay, so from time to time, just go and check on the rice and make sure it's still okay. I've left it on high heat only because I really want it to cook. But now that it's in a full-on boil, I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. Okay, so I've got the 1/4 cup of mayonnaise, which is 2 different brands of mayonnaise in there. We're going to pop 1/2 a lemon in there. I'm just going to strain that so I don't get the seeds in it. Blend the mayonnaise with the tomato paste and lemon juice. Okay, so that's in there. Okay. Hang on to that for later because I want to use the rest of that. Now, as I said earlier in the intro, the tomato paste, I've got a little bit more in there, but that doesn't matter though. It'll just give it a more tomato flavour, that's all. Alright, so we're going to mix this together, so this is good to go. And while we're hanging about waiting for the rice to cook, I'm going to get the pan ready. So my best advice for you is to get a loaf pan. It is called a salmon loaf. Other things that are loaves are obviously banana loaf, as in banana bread. So grab an oblong dish. Ideally try not to line it. However, because mine looks like the enamel's coming off, I am going to line mine with paper. But then we want to put the melted butter in it as well. Alright, so that's given us, it almost looks like Thousand Island dressing, which you'll have to Google how to make that because I haven't made that, but I'm pretty sure that is going to be very similar to Thousand Island dressing. Okay, so your loaf pan, you're going to grab your 50 mils of butter, which you're going to soften, and then you're going to brush it in there. But as I said, I'm putting a bit of paper down first, just to keep it all cool in there. Alright, now I have my special butter jug, and for the you that know why I call it my special butter jug, it's plastic, it's old, I can't see any measurements on it, and therefore it never seems to clean. Anything like plastic, butter never seems to clean out of it, so therefore it's called the butter jug. So the good thing is, pop it on the scales, hit tar, and we can put 50 grams straight in that, melted in this. So see how lucky I am with what's left in here. Oh, And I didn't even plan that. 50 grams on the nose. So that can have a nice wash. All right, chuck that in the microwave. Didn't even need to cut it. That is so good. All right, I'm going to put this in the microwave for maybe about 30 seconds. And then we're going to grab a brush and we're going to line that dish with the butter and the paper. Alright, so when I serve this up tomorrow night, I am serving it with a salad, and I'm just doing a simple garden salad, as in lettuce, cherry tomatoes, and cucumber. I can probably put a few black olives in with it as well. So it'll be fairly easy. This should freeze well. I haven't tried freezing a dish similar to this before, but I can't see why it wouldn't freeze. So I can never find my brush when I want it. Alright, let's see if that's melted. Okay, give that a little bit longer in the microwave. I'm trying to look for my brush. It's right there. Yeah. Alright. Scales can go. I don't need them anymore. Alright. And as I said, the other half a lemon. Good for drinking with hot water. Especially with winter coming on too. This is not really a wintry dish, but I don't care. I'm cooking it anyway. Alright, so we have melted butter, which is cool. I'm going to pop just a little bit in the bottom of my dish. That will just help it stick. Okay. Whack your paper in if you're using it. Also, the good thing about the paper is when it comes time to dish it up, you've got something to lift it out of the pan with. You haven't got anything to lift it out with otherwise. So, it does not want to stick. There we go. Awesome. Alright. I could have used another one, but I think this one's probably better because it's just that little bit wider than the one that I would normally use. So I probably could clip that somehow. But once I've got everything in, it'll be fine. Okay. Get the rest of that butter and pop that in the bottom, because we're just going to grease that in and up the sides. Okay, so our rice is still bubbling away as it should be. I'm going to get the boiled eggs and peel them now, and then we're going to chop them up, so that'll give us something else to do while we're waiting. So the idea when you're cooking is try and get something going that's going to take the longest, and then use the time in between to start doing preparation for what else you need coming up to it. So then when that one item is ready, you're ready to go. So we're going to bring the eggs over, and we're going to chop these up. So they're pretty easy to peel because I've had them in cold water. Even though they're still a bit warm, they should peel up fairly easy. Okay, so to peel them, just crack them. Go like that. Ideally, try and peel them straight over your bin or your compost bin. Eggshells are good for the compost bin. Alright. Give them a peel. don't want them too hard, but you don't want them so that they're soft in the middle as well. So I think I've got the good combination here. If you do them for 5 minutes, you should get a nice hard-boiled egg. If you do them for 3 minutes, you get what we call a dippy egg, or aka a soft-boiled egg. They're great. I love them. They definitely bring back memories. Dippy eggs with soldiers. If you want a fancy breakfast or a brunch on a weekend, go for a dippy egg with soldiers. You'll love it. All right. That's the one that you need egg cups for. Yeah. All right. Check the timer. Okay, we've got about 8 minutes before the rice should be done. And you will still have some water in it, so you are going to drain it. So the whole idea of having a lot of water in it was so that it wouldn't dry boil. Or boil dry. Boil dry. It's one thing with when you cook rice on the stovetop. You really need to, unlike when you do pasta where you put more in it, with rice on the stovetop you generally don't put more in it. You put just enough, and it cooks using the absorption method, which is basically where everything the rice just absorbs everything. It's like a lake drying out, and the rice goes from a dry little grain of rice to a plump, juicy grain of rice that is ready to eat. So it's really quite extraordinary. All right, you should have 4 eggs that look like that, and a whole pile of shells which are going in the compost bin, give or take. All right, so I'm just going to give the rice a quick stir. It's looking pretty grainy, which is excellent. All right, so grab yourself a little bowl to put everything in. When you're cooking, you want a whole pile of these little bowls because they're great. You can get everything ready, have it all into bowls, and come serving time, it's a piece of cake. All right, I don't think there's any really right or wrong way to chop these, just as long as they're chopped. As you can see, that is so perfect. You wouldn't be dipping much in that, but that is great for this recipe and a sandwich. Curried egg sandwiches are good too. Maybe one day we'll do those. Should maybe one day do a special on fancy sandwiches or something. I don't know. Curried egg, whatever. Maybe not. We'll just wait until I get a recipe for it. Okay. Curried egg is basically made along this way anyway. All you do is you mash it, and then you put curry powder in it, mash it a bit more, pop some mayonnaise in with it, and then spread it on your sandwich. Excellent. All right, we have eggs. We almost have our rice ready, so we're just going to have to get a colander to put that in. I'm going to have to get another colander because I'm using the finer one for the salmon. It's probably not a very good move, but I've got another one that should be fine for the rice. Okay, so I'm going to check back in with you very soon, and we'll be ready to bring this home. Okay, so I tested a bit and it's cool. I've drained it. Now we need this to cool, so the best way, pop a plate under it, go and chuck it in the freezer for 10 minutes and then go and check on it. It needs to be not frozen but just cold. Okay, 10 minutes in the oven was, freezer was all that needed. I knew that. Just testing. Okay, so now that that is out of the freezer, back into here, because it's easier to mix it up in this. This is why I said to use a bigger saucepan. It looks like it might still be a bit warm, but it's been in the freezer for 10 minutes, so as far as I'm concerned, that should be cold enough. All right. Are you ready? This is all chuck in now. We're chucking everything in. All right. Flake the salmon with a fork. Done that. In it goes. Stir it. I like to stir it each time something goes in. Come in closer. Each time you put something in, stir it. Break it up a little bit more as you go. In goes your red cap. Give it another stir. In goes your olives. Now I've got some pitted and some unpitted. You'll know the difference when you're eating them, so just be very careful. Add in the hard-boiled eggs. Okay, so it should look something like, it looks like rice salad, doesn't it? Well, that's not where we end this story. In goes our mayonnaise mixture, aka, as I call it, seafood sauce, Thousand Island dressing, blah, blah, blah. All right. It sort of tastes a bit like it. All right. Give that a final stir. Okay. Bring over your greased tin. Get ready and whack it in. Literally, like you're making a cake, because we're making a cake. Just a savoury one, that's all. Alright, so this is similar to meatloaf in a way, because it's going to be a loaf that we can cut into slices. This is supposed to serve 4, so judging from the size of this, they're going to be chunky slices. Alright, spread it out. Into the fridge for 2 hours. Now, the good thing with mine is it's going to be in there all night and all the next day. So, probably not quite 24 hours. Alright, when it's time to serve, quite simply lift it out, turn it upside down on a bed of lettuce, and you're ready to serve it. So I'll check back in with you tomorrow when it is time to dish up, and then you can watch it in action. All right, so till then, catch you soon.